What up? What up? What up? What up? Welcome back to the scorecard, the boxing scorecard. We have to bring your scorecard and an explanation, not just your opinion. I am your host, Cedric Benn, here on the Talkin Fight channel. Of course, the big main event for the weekend was the big heavyweight Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte. This was Tyson Fury's final fight as a professional. Well, we'll get into that after. He did get in the ring and say a few things with another fighter that for financial reasons. But as far as boxing, he announced that this would be his final fight against Dillian Whyte, who is a top 10 heavyweight, not an A+ class, but definitely a top 10 heavyweight. Who I expected to put up more of a fight. What up, Sheila from Atlanta? Thank you for tuning in. What time is it in Atlanta, by the way, right now? Thank you for being a dedicated listener and subscriber. So, anyways, this was Dillian Whyte's. This was his one shot. One thing too, like you talking about having one shot and one chance. Usually in fights, though, they have a rematch clause. Most of the heavyweights nowadays, most of the champions, not just heavyweights, most of the champions have put rematch clauses in their contracts just in case they lose. But there was no rematch clause. So this was for the lineal championship for all the belts, and everything was on the line. So I was expecting Dillian Whyte to put up more of a fight. In the beginning, he tried to put up some mind games. Oh, same time. He tried to put up mind games. Dillian Whyte, who's an orthodox fighter, he came out in a southpaw stance. I guess looking to confuse Fury. It didn't work at all. I gave Fury every round. Speaking of, this is the scorecard. There wasn't much to score. I gave every round to Fury. The fourth round, I marked the fourth round as a close round. But just go through the notes. So first round, Dillian Whyte comes out as southpaw, but Fury still landed more clear. He took his time just to see what he's gonna do. Yeah, you come out in a different stance. Let me feel you out. Throw a couple jabs. Fury still outboxed him. You thought Whyte would have been more aggressive. Exactly. That's exactly what I was saying. I was expecting him. This was his one opportunity to be more aggressive. If there's any heavyweight out there that deserved a shot, it would have been Dillian Whyte for the past while. Whoever had the belts, Anyways, going to round two. They both switched stances. So Fury came out. Fury started the first round as an orthodox, came out the second round as a southpaw. Dillian Whyte started the first round as a southpaw, came out the second round as an orthodox, which is his regular stance. So they're both trying to play mind games with each other. Still, Fury dominated around by boxing skills, not dominated by hard punches. You could tell Dillian Whyte was was being very careful for the check left hook. Like he had his right hand, not just here, he had it like above his head to make sure that there was no chance of that check hook catching him. So I'm assuming his game plan was to come and get on the inside somehow. But on your way on the inside, he didn't want to get caught. So that's why he had that right hand up. Tyson Fury, again, the best boxer in the division, took his time, kept his hands up, used his reach at his to his full advantage. I didn't finish going through the rounds. Round three, my exact notes were Fury easy outboxing him, just touching him with jabs and fakes. Once you land a couple of those jabs to make a person's head snap back, and they're more aware, like either they're catching it or they're aware of it, all you have to do is fake, and then it makes them hesitate. You don't have to throw a punch, just faking it makes them hesitate, and then that stops them from coming forward. I already talked about this. Whyte looking to block the check left hook, but not fast enough to counter. So yeah, Whyte was, the main punch that Fury was landing was just the jab and the straight punches. Whyte was blocking the hooks and most of the inside punches because he was really aware of that. Round four, which is the round that I gave to I still gave it to Fury, but I just marked that as a close round. I wrote Whyte trying to make it dirty, trying to get back in the fight using elbows and forearms. So on the inside, not it's not blatantly like just throwing your elbow or forearm, but when you're cut on the inside, just pushing your forearm against the chin of your opponent while you're against the ropes, kind of doing what Fury does to his opponents. Tyson Fury uses his size and advantage if he has you against the ropes just to lean on you. Again, you can't just blatantly put your weight, but just in your stance and using your legs to kind of push forward. Fury's usually very smart at doing that. Whyte was trying to do that to him. A little bit awkward when you're the shorter guy trying to push the bigger guy back. And as the shorter guy, it looked a little bit more obvious because he had to stick his arm up. Whyte had to stick his arm up a little bit further to put it in Fury's face. So it was a little bit more obvious what Dillian Whyte was trying to do. But I guess that's how he felt. That was his only way getting back into the fight. Round 5. What was my notes for round 5? Yeah, I just wrote simply Whyte is wasting his time. And this reminded me, I made sure to write that. And I should have wrote the coach's name down. Sugar Ray Leonard's coach, when he said, I forget which fighter he said it to. It wasn't to Sugar Ray Leonard, but he said it to some fighter. Or it might have been to Sugar Ray when he said, "You're blowing it, son. You're blowing it." Just basically saying to the guy, man, this is your one opportunity. And like you're blowing it. And that's exactly what I was thinking about Dillian Whyte, man. I'm standing there looking at him like, man, you're blowing it, son. You're blowing it. This is your one opportunity that you've been, asking for and begging for and earned your way, not just talk your way into it. Like Dillian Whyte has earned his way into this position for this one opportunity. And yeah, man, he was kind of blowing it. Now, one swinging punch and miss and just following around the ring. Yeah, Dillian Whyte was looking for that one hitter quitter, but you got to look to set it up. Not to say that you're gonna outbox the person, your opponent, who's a better boxer than you, but you can't just blatantly look for that one shot unless you have that Wilder power who almost put out Fury. But as you can see, Fury got up and outboxed him and still did his thing. So yeah, and then round 6 is when the big KO happened. Jab, 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 step in and a right uppercut. And when you look at it, it looked like that was the perfect, as far as accuracy, landing on the button. The reason why I say that is because a few people said to me it barely looked like it hit him. That's because it was right on the chin. Right, it wasn't like on the side. Like if it was more on the side, those are the ones where your the head goes twisting with the uppercuts, whether it's this side or this side. His head twisted a little bit, but it was right here. So it was just real quickly, and boom, down he went. And landing specifically that uppercut is more of a, I always give extra credit to people that land uppercuts and drop their opponent from that, because the uppercut is one of the most hardest punches to land, dangerous punches to land, because of the position that you put yourself in. Especially as a tall person, you want to be able to use your reach. Uppercuts and hooks, you have to get closer to the person. The closer you are to the person, the more chance they have to get you back too, especially as the shorter. If your opponent's shorter than you, that's their one chance to get back at you, is if you're shorter. The jab and uppercut, Fury seemed to calm the whole fight. No extra energy wasted. Exactly. That educated jab, which we talk about all the time, coming, obviously comes from that Kronk school. Shout out to Sugar Hill, who I don't know him personally, but I did meet him a couple of times. I got to pick his brain as a coach and just to, see, I love speaking to other coaches. Sorry, I'm going off a little rant right now about coaches, but I'm not one of these coaches that just thinks, just listen to what I say and that's all you need. I love listening to other coaches, especially coaches that have successful boxers, and just pick their brain on how they do things. So shout out to Sugar Hill, great coach. And yeah, I've been working with Tyson Fury, who is one of the rare boxers who has that combination of great boxing skills and has that power when he needs to use it. Vinny says I was gonna say the same thing. I thought it slipped off his face the first time I saw it. Yeah, Angelo Dundee, that's who it was. Yes, thank you very much, Angelo Dundee. Also another great coach. That's what he said. You're blowing it, son. You're blowing it, man. Like I said, this was Dillian Whyte's one opportunity that he's deserved for the past couple of years. So um, he did get up and beat the count, but it was a very good stoppage by the referee because even if the fight would have continued, it would have been a god good for him. And those are the fights where you as either the referee or the coach have to step in and think of the fighter's future, not just his pride, right? Because the boxers will always say, my boxers tell me all the time, not just me, but boxers in general just say they'll get very mad at their coach if they throw in the towel, right? And they'll get mad all the time. You saw the situation with Wilder; he fired his coach for throwing in a towel. But what I tell people, and there's usually no comeback to this, is what I tell them is I say, I would rather you be mad at me for stopping the fight too early, rather than me coming to visit you in the hospital because I stopped it too late. Then your family's looking at me crazy because I'm the one that's supposed to be responsible for taking care of you. So no, you're not going to put that on me. I'd rather you be safe than sorry. That's not, boxing is one of the most blatant cases of that that saying, better be safe than sorry. I don't know if there's any other better example than boxing. Better be safe than sorry. So that was a good stoppage by the referee. And Dillian Whyte will live to continue his career. The crazy thing, shout out to Paulie Malignaggi. I got this from him. He noted the fact that Dillian Whyte 3 times, he's only been knocked out 3 times, and they've all been by uppercuts. So I'm not sure if Fury knew that ahead of time, but knowing him, his good boxing skills, and his good coach, they probably saw that and were looking for the right time to land it. So yeah. Blocking the uppercuts, it's very hard. Protect boxers at all costs. Exactly. Blocking those uppercuts, it's you got to be careful because at a distance you can relax a little bit. You can have your hands down. The closer you get to the person, the more careful, the more tighter that defense has to be. As far as blocking the uppercuts, either close the door or whatever hand they throw. If it's the right uppercut, use your right hand to block it. Left uppercut, left hand to block it, because you can counter from there. They throw their right uppercut, block, counter with that hook. They throw the left uppercut, block, counter with that right hook. It doesn't matter if they're standing in an orthodox or southpaw stance. Those rules still apply there. So what is next for each fighter? With the loser first, Dillian Whyte takes some time off. Again, he's still a top 10 heavyweight. I still think he'll give all the top guys a good test for their money. He just fought Tyson Fury, right? Tyson Fury, who's the best boxer in that weight class, of this generation right now, and definitely has to be considered as one of the best heavyweights ever. He definitely has to be considered in that conversation. Just his size, his boxing skills, and his ability to use power when he needs it. He definitely has to be in that conversation with the greatest of all time. I definitely do think. I still think Usyk and Joshua would be an interesting fight. That's the only thing that I'm kind of disappointed in Fury retiring early. I really believe Usyk, even though he's a smaller heavyweight. I've been saying it a long time ago that Usyk is the new Evander Holyfield. People thought I was crazy when I said that years ago, but if you look at their career path so far now, it's exactly the same. They both won gold medals in lower weight classes at the Olympics. They both moved up to the professional ranks and cleaned out the cruiserweight division, clearly cleaned out Evander Holyfield, clearly cleaned out the division. Usyk clearly cleaned out the cruiserweight division. Both moved up to heavyweight. Usyk did have a rough start in that first fight. against I forget homeboy's name, but his first fight at heavyweight, it was a little bit rough, a little bit shaky. But then he stepped up to the Anthony Joshua fight and clearly beat him. So that's why I say Usyk is the new Evander Holyfield. I definitely think a fight between him and Tyson Fury would be very interesting. And yeah, and even with that, with Anthony Joshua, right? I think him and Fury would be interesting too. 90,000. They had that fight yesterday had 94,000 people at Wembley Stadium. That's crazy. That is crazy. I wonder who's going to be the first fight to break 100,000. Who's going to be the first fight to break 100,000? And then next up for Tyson Fury. After I talk about what's next up for Tyson Fury, I'm probably gonna close up and finish up. So if anybody in the chat, if you have any questions, you wanna say either about the fight or about next week's fights coming up. Next week we have Stevenson and Valdez and Serrano and Taylor. Wow. But anyway, back to Fury. What's the future for Fury? He says he's retired. In the ring after the fight, UFC champion, heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou got to the ring, and they both talked about some mixed rules match that they were gonna have. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. It's gonna have to be mixed rules. It's not. I hope they they're not gonna try to advertise it as by saying like because they're wearing smaller gloves that means Francis has a chance of KOing. Shout out to the Paulie Malignaggi who brought this up first when I was listening to him, and he brought up the fact that even before the McGregor and Mayweather fight, people were trying to say like there was a debate whether they should use the 8-ounce gloves or 4-ounce gloves, whether that was going to be a factor for McGregor. And this situation now too, whether they use smaller gloves, if it's going to give Francis Ngannou more of a chance of beating Tyson Fury. I highly doubt that. But hey, just like I said against McGregor and Mayweather, hey man, people win the lottery all the time. Somebody has to win the lottery. It's possible. I can go to the corner store right now and buy a lottery ticket, and there's a chance I can win. So yeah, those are the chances that I believe Ngannou has of beating Tyson Fury, and there you have it. Shout out to the king of the heavyweight division, Tyson Fury. There you have it. Please like, share, subscribe. Today is Sunday morning, 11 o'clock every week. The scorecard. Oh, we're gonna have some serious scorecards to talk about next week. My early predictions is Stevenson by unanimous the decision. Stevenson by unanimous decision, and Serrano by stoppage. Yes, I said it. Serrano by stoppage. Stevenson by unanimous decision. Serrano is going to stop Katie Taylor. You heard it right here first on the scorecard. Only on the Talkin Fight Network. And like, share, subscribe. We'll be back later on today for the KO of the week with my boy Mike Orr. And again, every Monday to Friday at 4 o'clock, me and Mike try to bring up the newest prospects from around the world. If you guys have any prospects or pro boxers in your local area that need some more promotion, we'd love to promote them on the show and do an interview with them too to help get them out there. All right, only gonna hear it first. Talkin Fight. See you guys next week. Peace.